King was founded back in 2016. At the time, there was a very unique situation going on in Nevada, which is that for the first time in a generation, the major miners were in such distress that they were actually dropping some of their prime exploration ground along the Battle Mountain Cortez trend. That trend is the most prolifically mineralized trend in North America, and it's a great place to be if you want to explore. So we started going in and picking up large swaths of ground. Today we've gone from no claims back in 2016 to about 8,500 claims now. That puts us in third position behind Newmont Barrick joint venture and Kinross. So if you look in the top 10 list, we're the only junior that registers. If investors want to get direct exposure to exploration, particularly as the gold price continues to pick up, Nevada King is going to be an obvious option for them to go to. The story has evolved a little bit over the last year. One of our projects, called the Atlanta Gold Mine, which is located at the very southeast side of Nevada, has actually been in the midst of a discovery, if you will. Last year we drilled some phenomenal holes within the pit. So this is a past producing mine that last produced in 1985. And we drilled 50 meters of 5 grams per ton oxides. It's a phenomenal intercept for oxide. We also drilled 65 meters of 4 grams, 50 meters of 3 grams within the pit. We then stepped out 560 meters north of the pit and we hit about 10 grams over 9 meters. So that was a phenomenal intercept as well. We just put out news a couple days ago down at the south side of the pit, and we've seen some really nice intercepts, 120 meters of 1.5 grams. So these are the kind of grades that really make a oxide system in Nevada. And there's very few of those left. So we're very excited. We kind of have two value creation stories now. We've got the big land package, and we've got a project that is in the discovery phase, and in my opinion underlies the entire value of Nevada King at this point in time. Well, quite frankly, when we picked up the Atlanta Gold Mine for Nevada King, it was discounted by the market. It was discounted by us. We got it very cheap. And it was essentially a 500,000 ounce resource with a high strip ratio that people didn't know if there was much upside to. And we've totally changed the narrative between the drilling that we did last year and the drilling that we've started to do this year. So in a nutshell, the way to think of it is we've stepped north and south of the resource, and we've found both good grade and high grade. And we also know from historic drilling that that high grade can be found down dip to the west. We also have a target over to the east. So the easiest way to think about it is we're now wide open for business, and instead of being at 500,000 ounces, the question is, are we going to ultimately get to 1 million, 2 million plus ounces? And when you find that sort of thing in Nevada, the takeover premium is very significant. Sure, we like to try to finance things ahead of time and not get stuck in poor market conditions like we're in right now. We just raised about $15.5 million at 45 cents, which is a good bit above where we are trading now. That was done without a warrant, and I personally took about $7 million of that, as well as other insiders, management, and directors. So about 50% of that was taken by insiders. Very unusual in this business, and even Cal Heron, our exploration manager, took $300,000 of the financing. He's the one running the drill program at Atlanta now. We currently have $19 million Canadian in the bank. That's going to get us through this year and actually through the balance of next year. And so like we've always done, we'll look for good windows in the future to finance, but at much higher prices. Yeah, I think there's a discrepancy between management and investors many times, not just in this sector, but in many sectors. And I think it's important that when you're spending high risk dollars, the exploration business is high risk as it gets, that every dollar is very consciously applied. And so when it's my money that's going into the business, and a significant amount of my money, and the same for the directors and management, it just aligns the shareholders with management. And it's very rare to see that. I think there's a bit of a defeatist attitude when we get into a part of the cycle like this where the share prices are low and people say, oh, we have to raise money. Well, maybe if you owned a little bit more of the company, you would have had some forethought in when you raised the money, and a little bit more care about what share price that you did it at. We try, so I always say that the share price matters at 2 times, when you're raising money and when you're selling the company. And of course, in between all that time, there's the human emotion that it's very painful to see a share price drop, especially when you own some of the company. But setting that aside, we're capitalized, we're not selling right now. I'm very happy with where the share price is. Many share prices are down 50, 60%, and we're maybe off 20-25% in that same time period. So I think it speaks volumes to the level of interest from our investors and their faith in what we're doing right now. For sure, everything in life is a learning experience, a wisdom-creating event, and going through building companies from the private stage through to go public, financing in all different types of environments is certainly something that I can apply every day at Nevada King. And then Newfound has been such a smashing success that it creates a great springboard for investors just to know who you are and what you're doing and be interested in funding other opportunities that you might have for them. So it's all been very synergistic, if you will. Sure, the first one ever in mining at least, and probably the first serious business that I started was actually a total and complete failure. I moved down to Guatemala for a few years and started a jade mining operation. So we managed to get all of the licenses in place, but it was a very difficult environment to mine this jade and successfully export it and ship it to China and Taiwan. So things were going well initially, but Guatemala does not rank very high on the business-friendly scale, and that really was one of the big issues that we had. And so after about 12 months, I figured I learned a lot and lost some money, and it was time to move on. So that was it. You know, I think Nevada King is a very unique story. It's one of the few exploration companies that is built as more of a macro land play. So think about this as a real estate opportunity almost. Every time that gold goes up and gold stocks have a resurgence of interest, people rush into Nevada. Lots of money is spent in Nevada on exploration. The takeover premiums are phenomenal. And if you want to be in the New York City or the London of the real estate market for mining, you want to be in the Battle Mountain Cortez trend or the Carlin trend. And that's where 100% of our claims are. And there's no other company out there that has that kind of exposure. So if you believe in the narrative for gold and you think gold stocks are going to have a move, I think it's going to be hard to beat the potential upside of Nevada King. And I'll just leave with saying I'm very encouraged with how gold is trading right now. In the past 25 years, when gold begins to outperform the S&P 500 on a relative basis, that is when gold stocks take off. And unfortunately, every single time gold stocks dump into that move, and we get this just horrible gut-wrenching feeling like we have right now. But the coming out of that phase is really breathtaking, so I think we're close.